Run it back, Nation. What is good? Sixers sickos. What is good? We got some injury updates ahead of the Sixers Magic game tonight, and one of them is a good thing, and I'm going to explain to you why I think that's a good thing. I also, the second part of this video is going to be a comparison of Adem, Bona, and Guerschon Yabusele at center, and some of the clips that I've been looking at of them playing defense. It's glaring. It's a night and day difference, and I want to show you exactly what I mean and why I think Nick Nurse should be playing Adem Bona a lot more, even though he's not going to. But I want to show you what I mean, because these defensive clips are wild. But before we get into that, this is brought to you by RunItBackPhillyShop.com, where you can get all the merch. The Sickos hoodies are up there all day, every day, in every colorway. The Maxi McCain 25 Make the Sixers Great Again t-shirts are available, and I'm giving you 20% off. Code SICKOS20 on RunItBackPhillyShop.com. Thank you for the continued support. Let's get into the business. Our boy Keith Pompey hits us with the news today. Injury report for the Magic game. Sixers Joel Embiid is out with left knee injury management. Paul George is out with left knee injury recovery. Andre Drummond is out still with the right ankle sprain. Kyle Lowry is out with right hip injury recovery. They will all miss tonight's game versus the Orlando Magic. Joel being out is nothing new. I don't even feel like he's going to play this season. But we do have a little bit of a news on that. Paul George, he said last night that he wants to play today. He wants to play a back-to-back, especially with the way that the Sixers are playing. I don't know if he meant good or bad with that. They did get 2 wins in a row, but they didn't play good. So I don't know if he said with the way we're playing, if he meant that we won 2 in a row, so I want to keep playing, or if he means that there's things we need to clean up and we're building chemistry slowly and I want to play. But either way, he's out. So Paul George has played 10 out of 20 games or 8 out of 20 games. Joel Embiid has played 4 out of 20 games. It just continues. Andre Drummond has a sprained ankle, so we'll see if Nick Nurse still hates Adem Bona or not. And of course, I'm going to talk about the Guerschon Yabusele Adem Bona thing, because I really, really, really want to show you guys a play example of that comparison. The good thing about this injury report is Nick Nurse's best friend, a.k.a. stepson, a.k.a. borderline boyfriend at this point, Kyle Lowry, is out again with right hip injury recovery. I'm not understanding the Kyle Lowry stuff at all, man. I don't understand why he's still on an NBA team. He's absolutely washed. He's the fattest guy in the NBA. He's slow. He can't run a fast break. He's short. He can't jump. He has zero intangibles that should land him on an NBA roster in 2024, except for the fact that Nick Nurse loves him. Nick Nurse played Kyle Lowry more minutes than Jared McCain in the fourth quarter last night. It was disgusting. It was an abomination. It should never happen. Nick Nurse is out here embarrassing himself with his love for Kyle Lowry. But I think it's funny that the 76ers are acting like, there's might be something behind the scenes here, because he was out for a couple games. Nobody ever saw Kyle Lowry get hurt. So is it management saying, hey, man, stop fucking playing this guy? The fans are pissed. And then they bring him back. Nurse plays him immediately. Immediately bad. Goose egg in 19 minutes. Getting cooked in the fourth quarter. Should not be on the floor. And then they rule him out again. And a right hip injury recovery. We never saw him get injured. Also, nobody cares if he recovers from the hip injury. They act like they're ramping up Kyle Lowry. Stop even throwing him in the injury report. Nobody wants to see Kyle Lowry play basketball on this team anymore. It's ridiculous. And these reports are just add to the just debauchery that this team is to try to act like you're ramping up Kyle Lowry. He's ramping down to retirement. That's what he's doing. But keep him out. We don't care. Tim Bontemps of ESPN has a report that I thought was pretty damn funny. Paul George is out tonight against Orlando. Source told ESPN after playing a season high 37 minutes. Oh, look out. Look out. Played basketball for a whole 37 minutes. Woo! $200 million. Think about that. Think about going outside and getting exercise for 30 minutes and then acting like you can't move the next day. I'm not saying it's his decision. I'm talking about the way the team handles these players. $212 million. Whole offseason to get ready. Plays 30 minutes of basketball and has to sit the next day. Joel Embiid, who's been out for personal reasons, left knee injury management, is getting back on the court and starting his ramp-up process. He remains out. I cannot believe he typed out the words, starting his ramp-up process. You know, I made the joke, ramping up to start ramping up several times. Ended up being true. He ramped up all offseason. He ramped up the beginning of the season. He played a couple of games, looked like absolute dog shit, sat out for 5 more, and now he's starting his ramp-up process again. He's literally ramping up, playing 2 games, ramping up again. What are we doing here? So, yeah, I have too much time on my hands, and I made this little meme here. Ramping up to start ramping up, the never-ending story. I fucking hate this basketball team, man. But let's move on. Kai Carlin. Oh, yeah, this is Paul George when he said he wants to play. Now, I was going through the Sixers lineups and some advanced numbers and things like that, and I'm not an analytics guy at all. And, you can't really look at advanced numbers too closely and paint an entire picture off of it. But when you look at certain numbers and you look at how drastic the difference is, that's where I think numbers like this stand out. So I just hit 3-player lineups on NBA.com. All right. And I went to the plus minus. And again, plus minus is a lineup stat. And it's a small sample size. So the difference has to be glaring, for it to really mean anything. Like the difference between 8.7 and 7.5 and 4 and 3.5, things like that. Not that big of a difference. To go from negative 8.7 with Kyle Lowry in the lineup to a positive 7.7 is a big difference. 4.5 against some of these negative three-man rotations is a big difference. And I did 3 because I want a certain player. I want to look at how a certain player affects these. Clearly, Tyrese Maxey and Paul George together it does good things. Whether it's Kelly Oubre on there, whether it's Gershon and Kelly together, whether it's Gershon and Kelly and Caleb Martin, whoever it is, having Tyrese Maxey and Paul George on the floor together is clearly a bonus because they both can create shots. They both draw the attention from the defense. It makes everything work a lot better. There's one that really stands out here, man, and it's this one. Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Adem Bona. And it is a plus 16. And yeah, small sample size, but the plus 16 compared to a lot of these other examples is a huge difference. I mean, Joel Embiid, Jared McCain, Kyle Lowry, -3. All of the Joel Embiid lineups are minuses because he only played a couple of games and he absolutely stunk. And the plus minus is what it is, not just because of scoring, but it's a lineup stat, so it has to do with defense on the other end. The Adem Bona rotation is a plus 16 because of paint defense. Adem Bona right now is maybe the only player on this roster who can actually defend the paint. The games that Joel Embiid played, he didn't defend the paint. Andre Drummond can't defend the paint. Gershon Yabusele can't defend the paint. And when I watch Adem Bona play, I see a high-level interior defender. So, and it's not, it doesn't just come off of rebounding numbers, doesn't just come off of numbers of blocks. You know how Rudy Gobert wins Defensive Player of the Year because he gets block shots on weak side blocks and things like that. I'm talking about when you watch the game and you watch players stop trying to attack the rim because of the presence of Adem Bona. Now watch this. I want to show you, okay? I want to show you. Here is a play where Gershon Yabusele is defending a pick and roll with Paul George. And I want to show you what happens, and I want to show you what happens when Adem Bona's in this situation, all right? Here's Gershon Yabusele in the fourth quarter here, where Nick Nurse did not play Adem Bona in the fourth quarter, All right. And they blew the whole lead and they almost lost the game. And that has a lot to do with it. His love for Kyle Lowry over Jared McCain has a lot to do with it also. But this is the fourth quarter. He didn't play Adem Bona. He had Gershon Yabusele at center. And I love Gershon Yabusele for what he is, but he's not a center. He can't play defense as a center. And here's a great example of why. Okay. The Hornets are going to run a pick and roll here. Gershon switches the screen. Paul George here seems to be anticipating Gershon hedging and getting back on his man. He doesn't hedge and get back on his man. He switches and then he looks around like he's kind of lost and isn't sure where he's supposed to be. And then Paul George yells at him, "Hey, get your man!" And he didn't, and Paul George didn't either, and Kelly Oubre didn't do anything to help the situation either, and nobody guarded him at all. And Nick Richards gets a wide open dunk. Let's watch it all. I mean, Paul George thought he was gonna get back. He didn't, but Paul George didn't switch after Gershon made the mistake. But my point is, the defensive instincts are not there. The interior defensive instincts are not there. Now let me show you the interior defensive instincts of one Adem Bona. Adem Bona and Kelly Oubre on the right wing here as the Hornets are going to run either a pick and roll or a dribble handoff or a decoy screen. One of the two things where they could switch, they could try to get over it. Watch Adem Bona. His man's going to run up to set the screen. No, he does get the ball. It is a dribble handoff or it's a give and go. But either way, his man is running the dribble handoff. He fakes around the screen and goes backdoor. Adem Bona realizes that he goes backdoor. He realizes that Kelly Oubre is stuck. So he switches. But he switches and watches the ball the whole time. And he sees Williams drive on the switch. And he says, "Fuck no. Give me that shit." Look at that, bro. Look at that. Switches, watches the ball the whole time, retreats. It says, "You want to meet me at the top of the elevator? Let's get busy." Oh my goodness. Are you guys kidding me right now? Come on, man. Look at that defense. Straight up and down. I mean, that is perfect. That is textbook perfect. Hedging a switch, whatever you want to call it. Switching and retreating, whatever you want to call it, and then going straight up. That's beautiful. And that is why the numbers with Adem Bona in the lineup are so much drastically different because of his paint presence. And he's the only player on this team right now that has a defensive presence in the paint. But it doesn't matter because Nick Nurse doesn't actually watch things like this. He just plays the guys that he thinks fit his philosophy. That's all I got. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.